Good morning. My name is Brandy. This morning I'll bring you my morning routine, and we'll just start off. I'm feeling a little better than I did yesterday, so today is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more intense. I want to for me today, I want to get a good stretch in. I'm still feeling it in my lower back, so I want to get a really, really good stretch for my lower back, but I want to get a really good total body stretch today. Mentally, I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I was really tired this past week, so I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things. So I'm gonna jump right into it. Starting off, I think I'm gonna start off on my back today. Bringing my knees into my chest and just massaging my back, my lower back onto my mat. Again, I don't have a specific time how I do this, how long I do it. Alright, I'll relax my right leg down, pulling my left leg into my chest, into my stomach, rotating that around. Get my lower back stretching in. So placing the inside of my left foot inside of my right knee, bringing my left knee up and across, looking over to my left. My neighbors are building something on their porch, so I'm excited to see what it is. Alright, releasing my left knee up and across my body. Relaxing that knee down, bringing my right knee into my chest, pulling it in, rotating it around. Alright, placing my right foot inside of my left knee, bringing my right knee up and across my body, looking over to the right, breathing. Inhale my right knee up and across, keeping my right knee bent. I grab behind my right knee. I flex my toes toward my face on both feet. So I try to maintain that throughout this move that I do. I take both of my hands, place them behind my head, lifting my head up off of my mat with my shoulders, trying to keep my elbows level. So trying to keep both of my elbows up at the same height. Pulling my navel down into my spine, breathing. And on my inhale, on my next inhale, I'll bring my left leg up to meet my right. And exhaling my right leg down. Inhale it up. And I just find my vinyasa. I'll bend both knees back I'll bend both back knees again, keeping both of my soles of my feet together. I work into bridge pose. Bridge pose. My feet are pulled back to my glutes, and I try to be able to touch my heels with my fingertips. I keep my palms down first, and I push through my heels to raise my lower body up into the air. I try not to clench my butt cheeks but I try to raise through the tops of my quads, pushing through my fingertips. And so I try to get a lot of my weight onto my shoulder blades and in the back of my head. I try not to look left and right because this is it's a lot on your neck. So you try not to look left or right in this pose. For more, I walk my shoulders underneath my body and I grab my hands underneath my body and I walk my feet in just a little bit more. And I breathe. I release my hands, release my shoulder blades, or walk, keeping my lower part of my body still up in the air. To come down, I rotate one vertebrae at a time. I try not to flop down. I try to use a lot of self-control in a lot of my poses. I try not to flop anywhere. So the next pose I'll do, or the next exercise I'll do, I'll take the outside of my left foot, place it on the top of my right foot, or top of my right leg, on top of that knee, and I'll just bring it in, another hip flexor. I love hip flexors, if you can't tell. Bring it in. A lot of standing poses in yoga work out the hip flexors, so I like to loosen that up. And I'll just work into the other side. So I'll place my right leg down, keeping it on top, and then I'll take my left foot and just swap it over. I'll work into happy baby pose, bringing my knees into my chest, into my stomach, bringing my thighs into my stomach. I'll keep the inside of my feet together, but I'll spread my knees, placing my hands in between my knees and grabbing the outer edges of my feet, the soles of my feet to the ceiling. I rotate my tailbone down, rotate my shoulder blades down, just to open up a little bit more. And I like to rock from side to side. I'm infamous about popping my toes when I'm in this position. Alright, bringing the edges of my feet together, releasing my feet, placing my knees back down. I'll do one more set of postures. I bring my knees together, but I spread my feet, and it's windshield wiper pose, but I put my hands into goal post, and like I said, knees together, feet spread apart, all the way to the outer edges of your mat. You don't have to go that far. And I just relax my knees down to the sides. It's nice for the lower back. Coming back into center, bringing my knees into my chest, grabbing both knees. I rock my way up into a seated position. I'll turn forward just so get a better view. I work into log pose. So the shin is parallel to the edge of my mat. I flex my toes just to protect my knees. I do the same for the other side. I flex my toes on the other foot, but I place the opposite heel on top of my knee. And keeping everything flexed, I rock forward and back. And I give a little pressure in the top knee, just a little bit, but maintaining that flex in both of my feet is very important. Excuse me. Do a few of those. Come out. And work to the other side. I tap the back of my knees on the floor just to get that circulation back going, rotating my feet around. Taking my other leg And here. And doing the same thing. So keeping those toes flexed on both sides. Shins both parallel to the to the edges of your mat. So I have to get adjusted so they both can be as parallel as possible. As you see, it's morning time, so my knee doesn't go down as far as I want. If you're here, that's totally fine. That is totally fine. With consistency, and some days you're a little bit tighter, just depending on what you did the day before, what time of day you're starting your workout, what time of day you're doing this. It just depends. All right, stretching both of my legs back out, tapping my knees, tapping the back of my knees, rotating my feet around. All right, the next one is a good core and ab. Well, core and ab are the same thing. Core workout. So I raise both of my feet. Well, I lean back onto my hands, fingers pointing to the opposite direction of my body, and I raise my legs up into the air. And I kind of sit on my sacrum here, and I cross my legs as I come down. And I go back up, and I cross my legs, and I put the opposite leg on top than it was on the first one. Pointing my toes toward me as I come up, once I come up. You're working the tailbone, and eventually, or if you can, you do it without any hands. But for now, you can do it. If you're beginning, put your hands down on the floor. Last one. All right, so I'll work into hands and knees. So I just come on over, and I'm gonna do a couple back bend stretches, what some yogis call cat-cow pose. As I exhale, I bend my tailbone down, bend my head down, and arch my back up. So I push my shoulder blades away from each other. I push into my palms just to straighten my arms a little bit more, to push my shoulder blades away from each other. On my exhale, on my inhale, I raise my head up, raise my tailbone up, and dip my back down. Exhale. And I find my vinyasa. So on each breath, I move. Inhale it up. Exhaling down. Your breath might be a little bit faster than mine. So find your own vinyasa here. I just like to breathe slowly and breathe deeply. Especially in stretches. I come back into center once I'm done. Last one. So with a nice flat back, I'm back into center. I'll raise my left hand and I'll raise my right leg. I flex my toes toward my face, and I put a lot of weight into my right hand. So I try to balance as I do that. And on my exhale, I bend my elbow, bend my knee, and bring those in to meet and arch my back up. So this is just another variation of cat-cow. If this is a lot on your right arm, you can come down, don't flop down, use some self-control, come down and push back into child's pose. So child's pose, I like to push my hips back onto my heels with my fingertips. So sometimes I need to move my hands forward. And if your head won't reach your mat, you can use your fist, you can use your forearm, you can grab a pillow, a blanket, anything to get you there. But don't forget to breathe here. Whenever you're ready, you inhale, come back up, and you can continue on that side, or you can move on to the other side, and I'll go ahead and move on to the other side. So extending my right arm out, extending my left leg out, and kick through your heels as you're flexing through your toes, and you'll notice you're tightening your glutes there. So raising it up, exhale, bring your elbow and knee in, inhale it out. Again, and you find your vinyasa. Bring everything down. Push back into child's pose. Keeping my knees together is a great lower back stretch. But if you want an upper back stretch, but if you want a lower back stretch, spread your knees. Still push through your fingertips to push your hips onto your heels. Or push your hips toward your heels. As you're pushing, you're remaining active. You're resting, but remaining active. Inhale back into hands and knees whenever you're ready. And next, I'll work into downward facing dog. Tucking my feet, tucking my toes, pushing up through my hips. So pushing my knees up off of my mat, pushing my hips up. I like to bring my heels down toward my mat versus straightening my legs. So I keep my knees bent, but I relax my heels down. Pushing through my fingertips. Breathing. Now remember, downward facing dog is a very active pose. So just try to get used to it. If you're a beginner, just try to get used to how this feels. This is very active. Bring your navel in toward your spine as you breathe. On that last exhale, glance up, and we'll work into Uttanasana, which is a forward fold. Glance up, come up high on your toes, bend your knees, and baby walk your toes up to meet the ends of your hands. Bend your knees a lot. If this is the first forward fold of the day, first forward fold of the week, first forward fold ever, or first forward fold of this class or this session, which it is for me, I bend my knees a lot. I relax my head down. Some people can keep their palms on their mat. Some people like to grab opposite elbows. Some people like to put the tops of your hand on your mat. It's whatever comfortable for you. So on my first one, I'll do the tops of my hands since I'm already here. The biggest thing is you want to relax your head down. And if this is a lot on your lower back, spread your feet. Remember to breathe. When you're ready, place the palms of your hands down if they're not already down. Bend your knees a lot to get them there. Inhale to the tip of your fingers. I like to inhale to the tip of my fingers and glance up. I push my shoulder blades down, and then I exhale back down. I tuck my chin in, and I roll. Pretending like I'm looking at my navel, I roll up one vertebrae at a time. Keeping my shoulder blades hunched up to my ears. Then my head and my shoulders are the last thing to move as I come up. So my shoulder blades go back and down as I stick my chest forward and my head raises up. Okay, you want to do that very, very slowly. Only because you don't want to get lightheaded or you don't want to feel lightheaded. And I apologize, my head is not in here, but I will try not to be in this too much. So I'll come down to my knees just so you can see. So still standing, if you're following this video, still standing. I like to inhale both my hands up palms touching. And to get stretches on both of my sides, I'll take my right hand and I'll grab my left wrist and I bend over to, I don't pull my wrist because that's a lot on your shoulders, but I just bend over to my right. If I'm taking my right hand, grabbing my left hand. And I inhale it back up and I change hands, taking my left hand, grabbing my right wrist, and I bend over on my exhale. And I just find my vinyasa here. Sometimes I like to keep my hands together as I do this. If I keep my hands together, I try to keep my shoulders away from my ears just to get a nice stretch. And it's a little bit different for me sitting than it is standing. So just remain standing in this posture. Last set. And I exhale going back on at the end of it. All right, remaining standing, palms at the top of your head. I go work back into forward fold. So I keep my hands together. I bend my knees a lot. Nice flat back. I push my hips back and I fold forward. Bending my knees a lot again, or as much as I'm comfortable. I don't like to, especially in forward fold, I don't like to flex my legs all the way out. That's a lot on the back of my legs. So I keep my knees bent very slightly, unless it's just, very, very strenuous on that particular day, or I've done something strenuous before my workout or the previous day. I bend my knees a lot, relaxing my head down. Breathe. I inhale, come to the tip of my fingers, glancing up. Exhale, forward fold. I'll take the inhale. And I exhale and I step all the way back into plank pose. If this is too much for your arm, you always can come down on your knees. Not where it's hands and knees, but where your knees land from plank pose. Okay? Because you still want to have as flat of a back as you possibly can. So you relax your hips down and you push your chest out. You still have an active core, so your navel is coming into your spine because you want to protect your spine as you pull your navel into your spine. But you still get that same upper body workout to train yourself for plank pose. All right, if you are comfortable in plank pose, for me, I like to push back into my heels. Nice flat back, straighten my chest out. I don't want to dip down, don't want to arch up. Breathe. I come all the way down onto my stomach. Everything comes down at once. Use a lot of self-control to get yourself all the way down. Keeping your hands where they are. Relaxing the top of my feet down onto my mat. On my inhale, I peel my chest up off of my mat, glancing down, trying to keep the back of my neck flat as I possibly can. Pulling my shoulder blades in to pull my chest up. Relaxing my glutes. Breathe. So everything in your posterior chamber is active here. As you exhale, relax it down, chin on your mat. I push back up into plank pose, or you can push back up into hands and knees. So either here, or if you're going to push back into to plank pose, tuck your toes. Gather your strength, pull your shoulder blades into one another, raise your knees up off of your mat, and push all the way up, back into plank pose. So pushing back into your heels, push back into downward facing dog. Remember, relaxing your heels down instead of straightening your legs, relax your heels down first. I glance up at the top of my mat, bending my knees a lot, baby stepping forward, forward fold. And then I take my next inhale, coming to the tip of my fingertip. Remember, you can always be here. You can always be here. Coming up to the tip of my fingers, pushing my shoulder blades away from my ears. Exhale, forward fold. This time, I'm going to rotate again. So inhale, pushing my chin into my chest, rotating up. Remember, your head and your shoulders are the last thing that comes up. Exhale. Now, in standing, in Tadasana, in standing pose or mountain pose, well, let me say that mountain pose, instead of having your hands up above your head, you'll pull through your fingertips, pulling your shoulder blades down, tucking your tailbone forward. Everything on the front goes up, everything on your back goes down. And you breathe, pulling your ears to the back of the room. When you're ready, inhale both your hands out and up above your heads, palm touching. Exhale, forward fold. Remember, hips back, flat back. Bend your knees a lot. On your next inhale, come up to the tip of your fingers, glance up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to prepare to come into plank. Exhale, come into plank. And on that same inhale, come all the way down on your mat or hands and knees, okay? So come all the way down. Peel your chest up off of your mat. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, come back into either hands and knees or plank pose, so tucking your toes, pushing all the way up, and then back into downward facing dog. I'm going to do that just a little bit faster without any cues, just so you can get a visualization of how it should go on each breath, okay? So, to work into standing, glance up, bend your knees, baby step, and I'll move into the sun salutation. Now, here, I'll do a second variation. Once I've made it to plank pose or hands and knees, I like for my second variation, I like to come down halfway. So, if you're here on your knees, graze your elbows down the side of your body, okay? To hold yourself up. So here, you never want your shoulder blades to come lower than your elbows. That's a lot of weight. So, same thing with plank pose. Let me slide up a little bit. Same thing with plank pose. Halfway. You push forward and you come up. Okay? So with on hands and knees, if you're here on hands and knees, same thing. You'll come down halfway, push yourself up, arching your back. On the top of your toes, you raise up. So everything is up off of your mat except the palm of your hands and except the top of your feet, okay? So I'll try to do that again. So let me push back into child's pose, gather my strength, relaxing my arms down beside me, and I breathe. So back into hands and knees, back into plank pose, tucking my toes under, come down halfway, push up, come back up. Rest the tops of my feet on my mat. Sticking your chest out boldly, everything up off of your mat, everything. And from here, you tuck your toes back under, push into downward facing dog. That is a lot. So if you're there and you need to come down on your knees to push yourself into downward facing dog, be more than welcome. But I was trying to get to show you how it should be, okay? So do another sun salutation. So coming up high on your tiptoes, bend your knees a lot, baby step forward, relaxing down. This time, as you come into standing, take your arms out and up. So still having a nice flat back, pushing your hips back, come all the way up. But you still want to bend your chin into your chest so you can have a nice flat spine. So inhale everything up, arms out and up, into standing, palms touch. Exhale, bring your hands down beside you, back into standing. So palms facing forward, pull through your fingertips. Tuck your tailbone in. Raise everything on the front side of your body up. Stick your chest out. Pull your ears back. Shoulder blades down. Heels down. Pulling through the back of your arms. Tightening the back of your arms. Pulling through your fingertips. Breathe. I will inhale up, palms meet. I exhale into forward fold, bending my knees a lot, flat back. Inhaling up to the tip of my fingers, glancing up. Exhale down. Inhaling to prepare for plank pose. Exhale into plank pose. On that same exhale, I come halfway down. Pushing up high on my toes, inhaling forward, come to the top of my feet. Exhale back into downward facing dog. So I'll do that once again, a little bit faster, just so you can see how to move into that last pose. Perfect, guys, perfect. Here, I'll come down to my hands and knees. I'll work into closing out this session. So here, I like to take my right knee, I bring it in between my hands, or try as close as I can, but then I bring my foot in between my hands. Get a nice hip flexor stretch. So here, what I like to do is I walk my opposite knee, the knee that's bent back, and I walk it back a little bit as far as I possibly can. And I rotate my tailbone in as I come up off of the top of my thigh. So rotating my tailbone in, I'm clenching my glute, clenching it. And then I put a lot of weight in my big toe in the front and a lot of weight into my big toe behind me, just so I can be balanced. Let me come back on my mat. Just to keep my balance. And while I want to keep my balance, I raise my hands up, palms touching, pulling my shoulder blades away from my ears. Breathe. If you're feeling very powerful and balanced here, again, pulling your shoulder blades away from your ears, you can lean back. Relaxing my head back. Balance. Inhale back up. Try to rotate that tailbone in again. And I exhale, bringing my hands down beside. I push back into my back knee just so I can bring my front leg back into hands and knees. And I work the other side. Walking that back knee back as far as I possibly can. Pushing through my big toe in the front, pushing through my big toe in the back. Raising my chest up off of my mat. Tucking my tailbone in. Inhale, my hands up. Shoulder blades away from my ears. Breathe. Exhale, come back down. Pushing into that, bending back into that back knee. Come back into hands and knees. Do another set of cat-cow, so find your vinyasa. So exhale, bring it down. Inhale up. Last one. Exhale back into neutral spine. So, to work back onto my back, I push up into downward facing dog. So I tuck my toes back into downward facing dog. I glance up, baby step my feet to meet my hands. But I come down, bringing my glutes onto my heels, spreading my knees, and I just fall back. I work into a forward fold, a seated forward fold. So with a nice flat back, I bring my stomach and my chest on the top of my thighs. So I bring it in just a little bit more. And I take both of my hands and grab both feet. Again, nice flat back. And I kind of walk my feet in just a little bit more. Nice flat back. Pushing my shoulder blades away from my ears. Try and keep your legs together. Try and keep your feet together. And I baby step my feet out. And again, push your chest towards your toes. You never want to dump in. So pushing your chest towards your toes. You might be here, you might be here, you might be all the way down. But I try to keep a nice light bend. If it's painful, back off. This shouldn't be painful. You should have a nice stretch in the top of your back, in the back parts of your legs, but it should not be painful. To come out of this, I just take my hands away from my feet, place it down on my mat, pushing my stomach off the top of my thighs. Nice flat back. I have to walk forward because I'll come off my mat. To rotate down, to lay down, keeping my heels down on my mat, I rotate down. I'll do another set of happy baby and bridge pose. So bending my knees, keeping my feet down on my mat. I'll do the second variation that I showed you of bridge pose, and then there's a third variation that's really nice. So for the second variation, remember, bring your heels in as much as you can, close to your fingertips as you possibly can. Raise the lower part of your body up off of your mat. Walk your shoulder blades into each other, grabbing each hand. And this is the second variation. Bring your knees about hip width distance apart here. Push through your heels to bring the top of your thighs up. So try not to clench your butt cheeks. I say that a lot, but you don't want to clench your butt cheeks. Breathe. All right, releasing your hands, releasing your shoulder blades, so walk them back away from each other. And rotate one vertebra at a time, bringing your lower part down. All right, so the third variation is taking both of your hands, pointing your fingertips toward your body. And you'll raise the lower half of your body up off of your mat. So here, you'll push through your heels to raise the lower part of your back, but then you'll push through the palms and the fingertips to bring your upper part up off of your mat. So again, it's the same process where you're doing bridge pose, but you use your fingertips and the palms and the heels of your palms to push yourself off of your mat. If you're here, that's perfectly fine. If not, you can work into this. Consistency is the key. Here again, to come out of this, rotate one vertebrae at a time, slowly. Use a lot of self-control to work yourself back into the first variation of this. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, happy baby pose. Bring your knees into your chest. Spread your knees, feet together. Grab the outer edges of your feet. Rotate your tailbone down. Rotate your shoulder blades down. Rock. Breathe. We'll do one more posture before Savasana, before we close out. Bringing your feet together, knees together. Relax your feet down. So like I said, knees together, thighs together, shins together, feet together. Bend your feet as close to your bottom as you possibly can. Keeping your feet together, open your knees up. And as you open your knees up, put the soles of your feet together. Now, if your feet are close to your crotch, that's perfectly fine. If you can't get there, this is perfectly fine. You just want to relax your knees as much as possible. If you want to put pillows under you, that is totally fine. So if you're here, perfect. That is perfectly fine. I did a lot of hip flexor poses and workout. So relax that just a little bit here. Relax your hands down beside you, palms facing up. Breathe. We'll take a few seconds here. All right, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and we'll move into Savasana. So Savasana, taking your heels to the corners of your mat. Relax your legs down, or whatever makes you feel comfortable. If you want to rotate on one side, just as long as you take some time to just reset, feel free. I hope this was helpful for anyone. If you have any questions or suggestions on another video, please leave it down in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time.